Hey gang, thanks for tuning in. So this is going to be a little bit different video, and if you're wondering how to completely screw up whatever YouTube algorithm you have, just do exactly what I'm doing on this video because this has nothing to do with camping. But I wanted to show you folks kind of how I got my start with the whole YouTube journey, and it all started right here in this single car garage, which measures about 12 feet wide by 21 feet long. So I originally started YouTube doing woodworking. I built all the furniture, most of the furniture in our house. This was one of the main reasons we moved into this house, was because I needed a single car garage to put all the stuff in. So I spent about a year building everything out, and of course throughout the last 5 or 6 years I've tinkered with it, I've changed it, I've added, I've removed. And I've done a couple of these shop tour videos, but I haven't done one in, I think, in a couple of years, because my focus has obviously changed to the camping stuff, the RV stuff, the more outdoor stuff. But my true sounds silly, but my true passion is right here in this garage with all of these tools. Now, I've amassed these tools over the course of about 20 years. This didn't come quick for me. And, you know, believe it or not, there's a lot of controversial things that I have in this shop that get a lot of comments. And I'll kind of go over some of those tools that I have that seem to create some type of controversy in the whole tool world. But anyway, they're my tools. They're what I like to use. They're what I found that work the best over years and years and years. Now, I'm not a professional carpenter, but these are what I found work the best. So guys, I'm gonna get you on my handheld, walk you around the shop, show you what I have, what I'm using, what I've changed, and kind of how this all started. So I'm gonna start you right here at the front. This is kind of what I built this entire shop around, and the very first thing that I put in the shop when we moved in this house, and that is my table saw. So right here is the heart of this entire shop. And it is the 1 3/4 horsepower saw stop cabinet saw. This is the 120 volt version because I did not have 240 volt. I wanted to get a little bit higher horsepower saw, but turns out I don't really need it. I've never had the saw bog down on me. I've thrown some 8/4 hard wood through here, and it has not bogged down whatsoever, no burning. It's done just fine. So I think for my needs, the 240 volt, I think 3 horsepower cabinet saw would just be overkill. Yeah, it'd be nice to have it, but it's done perfectly well for my uses. I do have, and this is kind of where all of the controversies come in. I have a ton of dust collection in here because it's a one-car shop. It's a one-car garage, and woodworking creates a lot of dust, and I hate dust. So I've got dust collectors everywhere, which you'll see. But the first dust collector I've got is actually to the saw stop. So I got a Festool, and it comes down here underneath all my stuff. I've got the CT Mini, and so this actually turns on via a Bluetooth button, and that does great in catching a lot of the dust that gets thrown off by the blade. So really minimal dust coming off that saw when I use it. This is obviously something new. I think I installed this thing 2 years ago, but it is basically my home backup. I've got 3,000 watt-hour batteries. Right now I'm running the Apex 300 because my AC 300 that I had up there died on me. More to come on that. I sent it back to Blue Eddy and I haven't heard back from them yet, so I'm kind of using that as a backup to my AC 300. But it is tied in behind the wall to a switch panel, and it's just running a couple of main important circuits in our house: our refrigerators, our internet, a couple of rooms, not the whole house, but just the main areas in our house that if power does go down, you know, we'll still have a little bit of light and a little bit of food in our fridge. This is the outfeed table that I built. It's got nothing special, literally just 2x4s and some cheap plywood. But I mean, you can tell here, guys, I've tried to utilize every square inch of space. I'm actually building this for that rack right there of my Packouts. This is gonna be a base that I'm gonna put some casters on and then install this floor mount to that so I can easily roll that thing around. But that's not part of this video. But you can see here, I just got a whole bunch of stuff underneath my outfeed table. I do have my dust collector, my big 4-inch that is tied in right there. I've got it plumbed up underneath, and it goes behind. And then if I push this to the side, you can see it comes out the back down, and then connects into the base of my saw stop down there. So I've got 2 points of dust collection for my cabinet saw. And the big dust collector is back here in the corner. We'll get to that here in a little bit, but I do have to pull my hose out, drag it along the floor, and connect it to this adapter here for the actual cabinet saw. But that's my outfeed table. So this was the first piece. This was the first thing that I put in this garage, and I kind of built everything else around that. Up here on the wall, I've got my most of my clamps. You can never have too many clamps, but that's most of them. Then I've got my parallel clamps hanging up back here. I'm using 3 of them down there for that Packout that I'm building. And then I've got some white oak that I've just been storing up there. I built a big dining room table for us years ago, and that's just some of the extra board that I did not use. I'm trying to figure something out right now to use that wood, because that's quite a bit of money of hardwood up there, and I'm definitely not gonna get rid of it. But that's what all that is up there. And these little mounts that I got just came straight off of Amazon, and they work really well for storing quite a bit of board feet up there. Let's see what else. Now this is not new, maybe 3 years old, but these are MFT tables from Festool. So I've got one table here, and I've got one table here, and I built a cabinet to put underneath. This is kind of where things get controversial for a lot of people. Is you can tell I've got a lot of sustainers up down there, up here, of course, all along the wall. I got sustainers under there. People, let's see. I'll be the first to admit I love sustainers because they're easy to build cabinetry for and to store sustainers. They are not, I just got into Milwaukee Packouts, as you can see, and I will say they are much more heavy duty. These could fall off a truck, and I don't think anything would happen to them. So I've got a couple of the drawer Packouts here. Got the 2-drawer, the 2-drawer, the 3-drawer, and then the 3-drawer with the bigger drawer on the bottom. And then of course I've got a few smaller Packouts here. But they are pretty, I do like how they clip in, and just, they're easy to move around. I've got a big plan for some of these for my truck for one of next year's camping setups. I'm going to utilize these for a truck camper setup and use these as the base cabinet, store all my stuff, make a tabletop for it. So that video's coming up here in the next couple of months. I'm looking forward to that. So stay tuned to see how I use Packouts in the back of my truck bed for kind of a real easy to take down and put up truck camper setup. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, back to the MFTs. These tables are awesome. I always get questions, what are these holes for? Well, it's pretty simple. There's a lot of accessories that you can use these holes for, mainly clamps like this. So if you're working on something, you can stick that clamp down in there. All right, now I got 2 hands. But you just stick it in any of these holes, you put your workpiece here, and then you can clamp it down, and it's gonna hold whatever you want. So you're limited, actually you're not limited. You've got all these different holes to pick from to clamp things down. So that's mainly what all the holes are for. I get a lot of questions on holes. I don't know why, but this is pretty much where I do all of my glue ups, my setup, my using dominoes. This thing is incredible. This is another Festool tool. This is the Vaxis, and I bought this about 8 years ago, and I don't think they make this thing anymore, which is a shame because it's awesome. It's a vacuum clamp, so there's different heads that you can put. You can put a bigger head for bigger sheets of plywood. I've got this for basically 2x6s. So you put your piece down, and it automatically suctions this thing down, and you can move it around, and it basically acts just like a clamp, but you can move that board around. And again, I don't think they make this thing anymore. I could be wrong. Maybe they brought it back, but I'm glad I bought it when I did. Now what else? So then I've got these Festool, these 3 drawers, just basically keep a whole bunch of knickknacks, most used hand tools that I typically need to grab. And then up here, I've got basically my wiring toolkit, and then my everyday, if I've got to go help out my folks with something. I've got a couple of different of these toolboxes set up. So I think right here mainly is just a bunch of wiring goodies. So I've got a bunch of wiring connectors, and you can open that up, and just a whole bunch of wiring stuff, some heat shrink, tester, little soldering gun. And then this right here is kind of mainly for if someone says, hey, can you come over and help me do something simple, whatever. So I've just got some basic everyday tools that I don't have to hunt for. I pretty much know if I take this with me and maybe an impact or a drill, this will get me everything that I need to pretty much hopefully help out and not have to go get anything. I'll say, guys, that's where I get a lot of flack, is having Festool. I've tried them all. I've got Makita back here. I've got DeWalt. Festool has its place. It's mainly a time saver. It's a system, like they like to say. They are expensive, and there's no denying that. They are very expensive tools. They're German made, most of them. But I'll tell you, you can feel the difference. And at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you my overall most favorite tool that I have in this entire shop. And I think it's going to surprise you. But down here, again, I just keep all of my, I got a Dremel, I've got my heat guns, a whole bunch of wiring and cables. One thing I do not like from Festool is their jigsaw. This is the Bosch Jigsaw, and I think this is the best jigsaw that you can get. It's the JSF, what is that? JS470E. It's corded, it works great, no complaints. I have, if I can find it, I think I have it. I think I put it up, but I have one, but I do have the Festool Carvex that I don't use. I'm probably gonna sell it if I can sell it. I think that Festool tool is absolute junk. It's no good. This is one of the things that if you're gonna buy Festool, you can't beat their sanders. They have the best sanders in the game. There's no dust whatsoever. They're around 250 bucks a piece. This is the ETS 150. It's the bigger sander. Then I've got the Rotex, which is basically a handheld belt sander. That thing is a beast. But if the only Festool tool you ever get, I recommend one of their sanders. It's just not the same as using a DeWalt, a Milwaukee, you name it, Rigid. They're a class above everything else. The dust collection is beyond excellent. I can sand for 5 hours in here with a Festool dust extractor and one of their sanders, and you can white glove it, and there'll be no dust. So speaking of dust, back here, I've got another dust extractor. It's kind of hidden. This is my big one. This is my CT26. That's hidden back behind there in the cabinet, so I built a cutout for that dust extractor. And when I need to use this, I'll just pull the hose out. So I can do whatever. I've got some floor attachments that I sweep, vacuum the floor that are back there in the corner. But this just kind of lives back here for right now. So that's what I use for sanding on the MFTs, or for using my Domino, which is another huge controversial tool, is the Domino. I love the Domino. I can't imagine not ever having it. I bought it about 12 years ago. But the Domino uses these dominoes, these little tenons. I got all different size tenons, and this is the actual Domino tool, if you guys don't have any idea what I'm talking about. It's this guy right here, kind of underneath a whole bunch of stuff, but that's the Domino. And essentially what the Domino does is creates mortise and tenon joints. That's all it does, but it does it quick. It does it without any dust, and it does it great. So I love my Domino. They're expensive, and that's why they get a lot of flack. They're not the same as biscuit joints. People say they can use a biscuit joiner to do the same thing. Biscuit joints do not have any strength properties to them whatsoever. They're more of an alignment tool. Dominoes actually have strength to them. So my 8-foot dining table that I built, I used, and it is built like a tank. So it works great. I built all these cabinets up here. We don't need to look in here. Well, we'll look in one. Just a whole bunch of junk. Painting for my daughter. Whole bunch of paint. But I just used the cheapest wood I could find at Lowe's at the time I was building it, and just slapped these up there, and they work great. I built this cabinet up here specifically just to hold Sortainers, and they are drilled out, so I can take these shelves out and move them up or down based off the size of my Sortainer. But again, I've got some, whatever, the big heavy corded drill, some soldering items, paint supplies, oscillating tool. I got my, haven't used this in a while, but it's paint sprayer, another Domino, just a whole bunch of kind of miscellaneous tools. Now all of these, yes, I've got a lot of impacts and drills. I have a problem. I get it, I understand. But they all kind of have their place, believe it or not. I prefer Makitas. So I love my Makita impacts and drivers. My DeWalts are more for if, little bit more heavy duty. So I'll grab the DeWalt if I'm up on a ladder or something. I don't care if I drop it. I feel like they're just a little bit more heavy duty, but the Makitas feel better to me using. And then the Festool. So I think these were kind of, I don't know. I don't like the 18 volt Festools. I think there's a lot of other better options out there from DeWalt or Makita or Milwaukee. I do have them. I've had them forever, but I don't find myself ever grabbing the bigger Festool tools. Now, we'll talk about this here in a second, but this is the CXS, and I grab that as many times as I can. Down here, just some more storage. I built this, so this is the mini sustainers, and you see here I just keep all of my 18 and 21 gauge nails in here, but I just built a simple storage rack to put on top of this bench that holds all of those little mini sustainers. So that worked out great. Installed this these lights all around. So I've got that one there. I've got that one up there. So this garage does get really dark. So I've got to have a ton of light. Then moving around to my miter station side, again, theme of the garage is sustainers. Well, the thing is about Packouts, yes, they are more sturdy. They just take up a whole lot more room, so I can fit a lot more sustainers. Now, again, we can say that, you know, these sustainers they take up more room than they actually hold tools. I don't think that's true, because take this up here. I use these three right here all the time. I've got all of my screws that I grab in that one. Then I've got the larger set of screws down here. Let's see, we've got miscellaneous stuff. I really have no idea what I've thrown in miscellaneous. Just looks like more screws. But then we got miscellaneous hardware down here. So I love having these organizer sustainers to throw all these little kind of rinky-dink things in. Then over here on the side, I've got a couple of mallets that I built just out of boredom. You can see there, my wife got me a branding iron. I don't know if that's going to come through, but it says handcrafted by me. So I built a couple of these, and they actually work pretty well. And then my main miter setup. So I've got the CT MIDI dust extractor that's connected directly to the back of this Capex right here. And then I've also got a big 4-inch duct right underneath that I drilled out a hole in the back of this thing. And that's where most of the sawdust gets sucked down. And that hose goes behind these cabinets and then connects up to this dust extractor right here. So yes, the Capex. This is another one of those tools where I will say I'm a big Festool fan. This saw is great. It's not that great. If I was gonna do this all over again, I would probably buy one of the Bosch glide saws. But I bought this thinking that the dust collection would be as good as every other Festool, because that's kind of what they're known for. This is good. It's not great. You're not going to get great dust collection off of any miter saw you have. But this does pretty well. I just don't think that this one's actually worth the money compared to, I think it's the Bosch glide, what is it called? Glide saw, glide track, I don't know. The Bosches are really nice. And if I did it all over again, that's what I would get. But this is still a really nice miter saw. I just don't know if it's completely worth it. And then over here, just more sustainers. I built these little cabinets to hold more small screws. Apparently I use a lot of screws around here. I've got more doodads, knickknacks. Then all of my chargers I have hooked up here. I have them tied in back to a power strip in the back. Now, speaking of power, one thing that I did do, I had 3 dedicated 20 amp circuits installed in this garage because I need a dedicated 20 amp for that dust collector back here, which is only mainly used for my cabinet saw. So the way that I get to this hose, I've got it connected back here. So I'll take this, and I'm not gonna do it, but I'll take that contraption, string it down, and then these used to not be here, but I will connect it to right there. And I actually have that dust collector on a remote, so I can come up here, and now that's on. So when I'm back here at the saw, right before I get to my cutting, I can just reach up there and grab that remote, turn that dust collector on, and turn this thing on, and we really are pretty much dust free. It works really well. But anyway, so that is connected to a 20 amp circuit. This dust collector is connected to a 20 amp circuit, and this saw is connected to a 20 amp circuit alone. So that's kind of why I had to get 3 dedicated circuits, because I can't run the saw and the dust collector off of a 15 amp standard home circuit. It would trip it every time. So they're all connected separately, which works really well. I do wish I had 240 in this garage, but I don't. And then up here on the ceiling, I've got my air filtration unit, and I've just got the remote here so we can cut it on. I don't want to, it's really loud, so I don't want to cut it on totally, but when I'm in here working, doing a lot of sanding and whatnot, I'll cut this on, and it just helps kind of scrub some of the air, because there is inevitably going to be some dust floating around, and this up here just kind of helps. But it is loud, so we'll get it cut off for this video. I'll just keep that up there. And then up there, I've got all my other tools that I don't use a whole lot. I got a knife sharpener, I've got some jigs for my cabinet saw, got a little scroll saw up there. But yeah, that's, I've tried to utilize as much square feet that I had available to me as I possibly could in this tiny one. Well, it's not that tiny. It's a fairly good sized 1-car garage, but you start putting a cabinet saw, outfeed table, all this stuff, and it quickly starts to shrink on you, and you start to really wish you had more room. But that's kind of always the case for having one of these home shops. But all right, that is it. Now, I promised I would tell you folks what my most favorite, most loved tool in this entire shop is. It's this right here. Believe it or not, it is these guys right here. The Festool CXS little drill driver 12-volt tool right here. These things I love them. I try to find excuses to use them, to be honest with you. They are just, I've got 3 of them. That's how much I love them. I got 1, 2, and I got 1 more up there. They're just great. I don't know how to quantify on video, but they just feel amazing in the hand. They're powerful enough. Again, you're not going to build a house with these things, but these are just the best tools, the most fun to use tool that I have here in the shop. There's different attachments. I've got the standard drill attachment here. You've got the Centrotech chuck here, which is, of course, again, another controversial item from Festool, but people like to harp on Festool because they are expensive, so people always say bad things. I love them, but that's the Centrotech chuck. You've got, I've got a couple more attachments that you can use. You've got the right angle adapter that you can use. I think I lost focus, but anyway, these are my most favorite tools that I have in the shop, and what I literally grab the most of, or I grab them as often as I possibly can. There's another option that you guys can look at if you need a little driver, and it's also a good one, and it's the Milwaukee install driver. And I do have it. I keep one in my RV. This is a good tool too. To me, it's just not quite as comfortable, and it's got I don't like the forward reverse that's on top. I like having a dedicated switch to go forward and reverse. This one gets me every time. I'm just not used to it. It works for a lot of people, but this is a much cheaper option than the CXS. This is what I love the most in this entire shop, is this little guy right here. So anyway, gang, that is my shop. This is where I do everything, build everything for what you see on this channel, where I do my reviews right here for my other channel. It's taken me about 8 years to get everything to this point that you see here. And of course, I'm going to keep changing it and all that good stuff. But anyway, I'm done talking. This is my shop. Thanks for watching. And guys, we'll see you soon, hopefully real soon. A couple more videos are planned before the year end. That'll be a little bit different than what you're used to. So hopefully you'll stay tuned for those. And we'll see you soon. Take care.